Hello and welcome to the Emsolation YouTube channel. If you are watching us or if you're listening, you're also welcome. Today on the show, it is a bumper edition. Michael Lucas is here. He almost wasn't because of an unfortunate incident with an egg. We discuss my hair. We review Katy Perry's performance on the grand final. We talk about Michael's international Emmy. Also joining us is Anna Piper-Scott, one of my all-time favourite humans. She's a friend. She's a comic. She directed Outgrown. She came here to discuss the new Netflix documentary starring Will Ferrell and his best friend Harper, in which they transverse America, and Harper has come out to Will as a trans woman and they navigate this new stage of their friendship. I wanted Anna in the room to discuss it, as Anna is also a trans woman. Well worth you listening. And then in the sealed section, if you are an extra subscriber, Marcella, my daughter, is back in town. We talk about her European vacation, her new boyfriend, and why she will not be attending the Margaret Court Arena Spectacular of Outgrown. She cannot come. You'll be finding out exclusively why and my reaction. Plus, we play the newsreader. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're in Emsolation.
Okay, two things. Your shirt's undone dangerously low. No, leave it. I like it. Oh, one more button. One more button. Yes. It's just normally you're only a top two button, but I noticed the third was undone, so I'm going to push him to a fourth. And somebody alert Jerry Seinfeld, someone got some new runners.
Yeah.
Oh my God, show me these runners. What is going on? Scott Barrow would not approve of those.
Why not?
The size of the heel.
Oh, really? What's
Puts
that?
your pelvis at an unnatural angle.
Oh, does it?
Scott's one of those people that wear the toe runners.
Oh, okay.
You know, like the wiggle wears?
Yeah.
If you want to know the way to get me like completely off sex, walking in a pair of fucking toe runners with Velcro straps. Can you imagine?
So you say these shoes are actually better in terms of getting you ready for sex?
Are they that brand we saw everywhere in the States?
No, I don't know. Saucony or something.
Oh, they're Saucony.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, no, that's quite a wedge you've got going on there. That would give you a bit of height.
Well, oh, maybe.
What spanned new runners? God, you parted with some cash. Jesus.
They were like 200 or something.
Whoa.
Is that really out of control?
Someone's doing well for himself.
No, it was literally, you know how it is with me. The other ones completely fell apart. Like the sole was completely coming off it. I went to the same place I buy all my runners and say, I need more runner.
I'll tell you right now, those white ones, have they been set on fire? He has a pair of white sock runners.
I know.
Like
I tried to like
a
clean
certain
them.
sector of
I
the
put
gay
them in
community.
nappy sand and yeah, it didn't work. Didn't work.
Well, he's got the chest hair out and new runners on.
Yeah.
He's lost 5 kilos because he shat out a kidney yesterday.
Vomited, not shat.
Oh, I thought it was both ends.
No, it wasn't for me. For another member of my household, it was both. But for me, it was just purely.
I got a phone call. I don't think I'll be able to do the podcast.
No.
It's, what did you say? It's
like The Exorcist.
Yes.
It was. It was so sad. I was meant to be around at your house.
Thank God you did not.
We had
come to
plans
mine.
in place.
But I cancelled them because I was in the middle of an OCD
cleaning fest.
Yes.
And I went home and then had the most explosive vomiting for 12 hours. I just could not. I thought it was unbelievable.
And Adrian
I've never been so sick.
had the diarrhea and the vomiting.
Both.
Whoa.
I know. We've never been sick at the same time in 16 years of being together. And through COVID, through everything, we've never once. And we used to tell ourselves it's because like we had a theory that in nature, out of the duo, they want one to stay healthy. So it was like nature, like screw you homophobes. We're meant to be together. Nature wants us. But that theory is now out the window because we were both like, anyone could have gone in and attacked and pillaged and stolen anything they wanted because we were out.
One was in the middle-aged women's refuge.
Yeah, Adrian took upstairs. So thank God you didn't need refuge because let me tell you, you would have not have found a happy harbour.
But you've turned up today. You're all better.
It was
and
amazing.
We think it was a runny egg.
We think it was.
It has to be.
Really?
I've decided.
Okay, all right.
Don't trust a runny egg. I never eat runny eggs when I'm away from home.
Okay.
Always supervise the runny egg. Only eat that at home. I have too many bad experiences with bad eggs.
Oh, really? I've never had one, but that is not that has powerfully changed at this point.
Well, you look great.
Thank you.
Your runners.
Except for the shoes.
Your shirt.
God.
I love it.
Your
it's like Tom Selleck on
powers
top, Jerry Seinfeld on the bottom.
Who wouldn't want that look? Straddling 2 decades.
I know what you're thinking. The hair's still in. Yes, it
I'm
is.
thinking, have you done the introduction to the show?
Welcome to Emsolation. My name is Em Raciano. I'm a writer, a singer, a stand-up comedian, a maximalist power queen, a neurodivergent magic brain, and a podcaster. And together with my best friend since I was 11, award-winning screenwriter and international Emmy-nominated Mr. Michael Lucas, I bring you this podcast every week. We will talk about the International Emmy, but first I want to talk about me.
And your hair.
My hair.
We've all noticed it.
It's still in.
It's still in. I have to say, I feel like already... last time it was sort of lustrously here, and now it's sort of it's looking. I'm not going to say it looks less loved, but
I'm sorry, I ran a brush through mine. Did you?
and yeah, I did.
What are you saying? I was going for like Hermione Granger disheveled today. It actually took me an hour to do.
I feel like it.
I don't know how women walk around with hair on their
Oh,
head.
you know what it is? It's because you've got it tied back like that.
Yeah, I've got it in a half up, half down. Susie Wilkes, Changing Rooms.
Okay, that's what the difference is.
What was the Susie Wilkes show? Remember Susie Wilkes who always wore her hair half up, half down? She was in that construction show. Was it Changing Rooms?
I have no
Changing
idea
Rooms,
what you're
thank
talking
you.
about.
Are you joking?
No.
When we first started being obsessed with home renovation shows, there was a show
Well,
on.
it won't surprise you to hear I was never obsessed with them.
Anyway, half up, half down, Susie Wilkes.
I know it's our national obsession.
I
but
hit
somehow
crisis
missed
point
it.
with the hair. It was bad. And again, who'd have thought having literal human hair sewn to your scalp would cause sensory issues?
Tightly so.
What a shocker. So I made a video. I said, look, I think I'm going to take them out. We've had the week. I felt like I was letting everyone down. I felt like I have to exit my official midlife crisis because the one thing I'd actually done.
No, you're still allowed to have a midlife crisis. It's just, in fact, I think it's part of the midlife crisis.
But my
that you
opening
commit to
number
things.
was the hair. Like my opening number to my midlife crisis was the hair extensions.
Renaissance.
Yeah, I still feel like a sudden lurch towards something that you immediately backflip on is right for a midlife crisis.
Well, I haven't yet,
You're still
because-
doing it well. Oh, you're still hanging in there.
The ladies phoned me this morning.
Yeah.
Now their salon has been shut. And at 8:52 a.m., I got a phone call from Pauline from the hair place, the hair witches, the coven.
Yeah.
And she said, have you cut them out? And I said, no, they're still on. She said, now I'm bringing you to talk you off the ledge. Now I'm making you an appointment. I'm so scared of these women. I need you to understand I'm very afraid of the women that run the hair coven place.
They have control over you.
The witches.
They're going straight into your skull.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm going in and they're going to readjust them and just do a little bit of colour correction. Just give me a little trim. Just give me a pep talk. So I've been called in by the high priestess hair witches to go before them, and they're going to do some magic things on my head. She said, you don't have sensory issues. It's just everyone gets itchy. And I said, I think my ability to deal with the itchiness is probably where the problem is.
She should be a mafia
Pauline.
queen. Yeah, it's a solid move. Like if someone looks like they're going to go away from the flock, you bring them
Well, they don't want me to go away
super close.
because
No.
every 6 weeks I pay hundreds of dollars in maintenance.
Yeah.
When they do all the repositioning and stuff. So they've got to keep me in the
Hang
cult.
on. So wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
There's every 6 weeks you go for maintenance.
Yeah, and you got to pay hundreds of dollars.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I have bought into hair Tupperware, like Avon for hair.
I was
It's a
wondering
pyramid
about
scheme.
that because if it's sewn in,
Yeah.
presumably they haven't gone into the flesh, so it's sewn into your hair. But then if that grows, they need to
Yep, every 6 weeks. So
Oh
they don't
my
want me. They don't want me
God.
jumping off the hair train.
This is literally almost the plot of The Substance with Demi Moore. It's you've created some sort of pact.
Yeah, but it's still on my head, and I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm really struggling. I figured out if I hang upside down, and let all the blood rush to my skull, it cancels out all the itching. So oftentimes people just turn around and I'm just upside down.
Well, if you need to conduct the rest of this podcast upside down, I'll understand.
Don't put it past me.
Look,
I've
it
had
still
a
looks
warning.
great.
All right. Katy Perry, our lady Katy, was in town.
She was, indeed.
She, aside from the fact she worked with a known sex
I
predator.
know. We all have to say that every single time now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the caveat that comes along with Katy Perry. She did all the things like she was running for mayor.
I know. It was almost flawless. And it's so frustrating, isn't it? Because she is so good at the job.
She's so charismatic.
Why does she have to work with that
known
dude?
sex pest.
And produce some ordinary singles.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I saw her chatting with a 100-year-old woman on the project.
That, I know.
She visited, oh my God, Pesto the fat penguin.
Whoever is her Australian advisor as well, take a bow.
Did you see her with Pesto the big fat penguin?
Yes.
I'm obsessed with Pesto. Are you across Pesto?
Only because
kilogram-
Katy Perry visited.
Oh, 20 kilogram newborn penguin.
Yeah.
Bigger than its adopted parents.
Right.
And it's just all fur and it's a big chonk. And I'm obsessed.
Right.
And I've been watching like live cam of Pesto. That's how obsessed I am.
Wow.
Anytime I feel sad, I turn to Pesto.
Yeah.
I wonder what Pesto would think of my hair extensions. We look kind of similar at the moment, actually.
I don't think there's any living being that would not be in approval of your hair extensions. It's just biology. It's just
Anyway,
the natural world.
Katie hung out with Pesto.
Yeah.
What else was she doing? She was all over the place. She was sitting at the
She was
flies.
doing lots of she was racing around on the MCG field with heels doing
She was learning words like specky.
yeah.
Yeah.
She was bringing up Tina Arena. She It was like she was running for mayor. It was
They did Tina dirty on the costuming.
my mum expressed a similar
Okay.
sentiment.
So what we want to do is now is present Joe Lucas's review of Katy Perry's performance at the halftime show.
Yeah.
No, actually it was pre-show entertainment.
Pre-show.
I do want to point out she did ride in on a 90s IBM mouse and
She
or
did.
sperm.
With Priscilla
yeah.
silver flared fabric.
She
floating
had
out
a
behind her.
blue scrotum chest plate. There's no other way of putting it. And her mic was extremely phallic also.
It was.
It was a very Emraciano-esque performance.
Yeah. I didn't even need to bait my mother to start giving her opinion.
Okay, so what did she say?
Well, it started with, why did they do that? And I was like, what do you mean? What, the pre-show entertainment? She's like, it was so American. What do we not have? Why can't we have anything Australian? Why have we everything about it? All that futuristic thing. What was she wearing? What was she wearing? Were they chaps with huge pockets coming out of them? I couldn't understand. It wasn't flattering. I'll tell you that much. It wasn't flattering. And then every single song sounded exactly the same. Couldn't tell any difference with any of the songs whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
She pulled up Tina Arena. Well, that wasn't fair because that was not a flattering comparison. The two of them sitting next together. I thought they were going to kiss. Thank God they didn't. She was not a fan.
No, Tina didn't pick I Kissed a Girl to sing. That was, if anyone was never ever going to kiss a girl in their life, it would be Tina.
Yeah.
That was strange. But also they dressed her like Yaya at a wedding, like Nonna. She looked like mother of the bride.
I
And Tina's fashionable.
I assumed there was going to be a costume reveal because it looked like it was just like a covering thing ready to throw off. But no, that was it.
I'm just surprised. I'm surprised. The whole thing was, but look, Tina can sing, no doubt about it.
She can.
You rip out chains.
But I'm starting to think Katy can sort of sing. Not like Tina can.
Katy
but
can belt.
Yeah.
Katy can sing.
Yeah.
For sure.
And also, she appeared to be mostly live as far as I could tell.
You know, she's.
What did you think? I mean, I thought by and large it was pretty good. The animations I can't defend.
Look, I'm so sorry that she worked with
Dr. Luke, because in
Yeah.
every other respect you're on board.
I feel like I can't have an opinion that's not tinged with that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, good. It was okay. It was fine. It didn't offend me. I mean, whatever. What's offended me is she's made an album with a known sex predator. That's the thing I just can't get past. And I feel like everyone else has gotten past it. I feel like there's just a few of us who are annoying society now and we won't shut up about it. But whatever, I'm happy to be part of that. When history looks back at this moment and we're like, what do you mean she made an album with that guy? I'm on the right side of that argument. But it feels like everyone else is like, psh, 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 don't look it in the eye, drive past. It's fine, it's Katy. It's fine. Look at her, she's with Pesto and the old woman. She's learning specky.
And she did get a lot of Australian press, and was she asked any questions about it even once? Of course not.
She told them you weren't allowed to, flat out, because
Did
you know
she?
I do have my insiders. Oh, no,
really?
very strict instructions. Do not ask about Dr. Luke.
Yeah.
Do not mention how badly 143 has done.
Ah,
So,
wow.
speaking of the AFL, I attended the AFL pre-luncheon thing.
Treating the event with the honour and respect it deserved.
They told me business casual, so I spiraled for 3 days about that. I mean, what the fuck does that even mean?
Business casual. Oh, and I saw what you ended up with.
So I chose hot pants, fishnets, and a very structured jacket with a high-collared white shirt, business, shorts, casual.
I'm sure that's exactly the brief they were imagining.
Exactly. But anyway, I went, it was so white. There were so many men in the room. The energy in the room, it was just a big sausage sizzle. It was fucking intense.
What is the function of this function?
It's the most, like, besides the Brownlow, all the big names, all the big names go there. It's like it's like the lunch before the game. So you
Right.
can't have lunch on the day because the game's being played.
Right.
So all former Brownlow medalists, champions of the game, boss of Channel 7,
Okay.
boss of Toyota. It was a highfalutin room and there were big dongs banging against you. You could see them all. So many high fives. This sheer amount of high fives that went on in that room probably created seismic activity somewhere. She's like,
Right.
hi, bro. Hi, bro. Bro. I was like, going, oh, my God. But there was one moment. I mean, the lunch was fine. I got to see some of my hyperfixation was AFL up until 1994.
Yeah.
So they started playing games of Hawthorn Football Club.
Why'd you stop then?
I started dating someone from the Hawthorn Football Club. And he was there. He was there.
Oh, you had an ex there.
Yes.
Oh.
Scott Barrow wins this round.
Really?
This man has
That's
not
good.
aged well.
Oh.
But I'm sitting at the lunch and Tom Hawkins gets up, who's a Geelong player. He's retired. I'm friends with his wife, Emma. And he gets up to give his speech about retiring. And then he throws to a package of, now these are the players that are leaving the game and also the people who have left us. I'm like, what cunt? What? So this is a package playing of players who have retired and people who have died.
Was it to an emotional song?
Burn for you, John Farnham. Meshed it. And I'm looking up going, I didn't know who had died and who had retired. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
But also, the
Are
men,
we conflating two things that perhaps shouldn't be conflated?
some of these men are in the room.
Some people have retired at like 28, right?
Yeah, and it's like your life isn't over. Oh, do we really want to equate retirement with death? It's the death of your career. It's the death of you. And I was sitting there looking around. No one batted an eyelid. No one thought, I'm like, maybe we could just do two separate montages. Like maybe we could just have two different songs. Like maybe you've got like the best around. Like we could put some bogan sports song in to pump them up into
It's an opportunity for a
phase one of
different
your
song
life
selection.
is over. Let's go to phase two. But nah, just a beautiful, tasteful. And honestly, they did not differentiate between death and retirement.
Oh, Missy Higgins has just released a whole album called The Second Act. It would have been perfect for this.
Oh no. Have you listened to that album?
Is it what? Is it really
It's the
sad?
saddest thing I've ever heard.
Oh.
When 4 become 3.
Oh.
Oh, it's not the Spice Girls song. So that was the big takeaways, because those young men need to know there's hope. There's another chapter. I couldn't believe it. You should have seen me. I was looking around for support, and everyone was like, oh. Like, they're not dead. Not dead. Although maybe he is. I don't fucking know.
Well, you could have stood there with authority as a former athlete.
Totally.
In your business casual. No, what is it? Business
casual.
Business casual.
I was very business casual.
That is really confusing. Business
I know.
casual.
Isn't
They're
it just,
actually the antithesis of each other.
is it like take your tie off, no socks? I don't know. What's the casual
It's
part?
like saying
It's very Australian.
it's like saying party court outfit. Like it's just not.
Well,
you can't.
As we know, Mr. Worldwide did achieve that.
What?
Flow Rider. It was just like he was going to court and party after.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Of course.
I like party court. That would make sense.
Well, indeed, the mullet is what is it?
Business at the front, dinner party at the back.
Dinner party. Oh, okay.
Anyway, that was it. Do we have anything else we want to cover
I
before
feel
we
like
bring
we
in
covered
our
so much.
special guest?
Emmy?
Oh my God, we are so low key. Somebody on this team, who could it be? I don't know. Somebody on this team has been nominated for an international Emmy, and it's him. Woo! Where's my button? Where's my applause button? Well done.
Thank you.
How exciting.
Yes.
Isn't that exciting?
No, it is. It's good. It's
What
great.
is it? What does it mean? It's a very legitimate award.
Yeah. That makes it sound so legitimate.
It's-
Whenever anyone says the very legitimate award of the International
It
Emmy.
is. But I feel like having it on your bio, is that more impressive than the actual thing?
Well, you can say Emmy nominated. I'm like phase 1 of my EGOT.
Shut up. Oh my God. If you get an EGOT
No, I haven't got it
before
yet
me-
though. Fuck, I haven't got it.
If you
No.
fucking get an EGOT before me, there is no God.
I don't think there's much. How am I going to get my Tony?
How dare you? Well, how am I going to get my Oscar? I haven't even got any of the letters yet.
No, nor am I.
I've watched them all.
Yeah, well, many times. I could recite several ceremonies. Yes.
You could be 4 away from your EGOT. Oh my God.
Well, at the end, yes. By
Do
the end of
international
the,
Emmys count in EGOTs?
I'm sure they
You
would.
can produce some
an Emmy
shit
is an
musical.
Emmy.
Oh, EGOTs are easy to get now.
Are they?
Ah, yeah. You can just be a producer on a.
That's true.
Yeah, Jennifer Hudson got a
She did.
Tony
Oh,
Award.
mind you, she feels that she reeks of EGOT though. I feel like you don't, when you see EGOT Jennifer Hudson, you don't question that.
Whoopi's got one.
Yeah. Again, you don't question that.
No. There's a few that I do question though. The way that they
Barbara's one, do you know, is just technical?
got it. Yeah, the technical
Because
EGOTs.
because the Tony was an honorary Tony. 'Cause
Well-
she didn't actually win for Funny Girl.
James L. Jones had an honorary Oscar, I want to say. But he was an EGOT.
Right.
Yeah. So you could be, oh my God, you could be an EGOT. So tell us about the International Emmy. What does it mean?
It's just, well, obviously there is the primetime Emmys, which we're not in.
Same thing.
But you have to select early on whether you go which race you go into, and we went into the international one. I mean, it's like it's held in New York.
Yes.
We're against 4 other shows. I mean, I don't know. Deadlock is also nominated. The Kates, that's the other Australian narrative show that's nominated.
Yeah.
It's at the end of November. We haven't been sent all the information yet, but all I know, it was a complete surprise to us.
Okay.
We just woke up one morning.
So you didn't nominate yourselves?
Apparently, a long time ago, Werner Film, the company that make the newsreader, did decide to aim for the international Emmys as opposed to the primetime Emmys, which we're clearly not going to be in the running for. But no, we hadn't thought about it since then. And so it was, yes, a total surprise.
Amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, I really don't know what to expect except for the fact that I've been told that we get a medal, even if we're just a nominee. There's a ceremony where you get medals put on you, which I imagine to be like the end of Star Wars. So I'm thinking I'm flying to New York for that. And there's some sort of like 3-day event beforehand, but I'm not caught with panels and the like.
I'm not sure if I'm coming yet. I have invited myself. But we'll see. It's very close to my live show.
Don't you think it'll ultimately depend when you look at what's on Broadway and make an assessment via that?
Well, once you tell me what we can go and see, then I'll make my decision. It is going to be quite cold as well.
I know. And when New York suddenly commits to winter, it commits.
Yes. But we'll see. There may be Emsolation.
New York again, the sequel. Yep. Wow. Who saw that coming so soon?
Like when the Olsen twins took New York for the second time.
Yeah.
Charlie used to watch them. I think they did too. All right, should we bring in our special guest? And we're back through the magic of television with our very special guest, comedian, writer, director, anything else?
Unemployed.
Unemployed. Anna Piper Scott.
Outgrown as well.
Yeah, Anna Piper Scott.
Thank you.
Anna Piper Scott. Yes, you did direct Outgrown.
I did.
You did.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Me too.
You should be.
I'm just glad you wanted to work with me. You're in here because we watched a TV show and normally Michael and I would review it together. But the subject matter was something I felt like I don't like talking about communities when they're not present, basically. Unless it's Katy Perry, then we're fine. But she's not really a community.
Nothing about us without us.
Yes.
I think tragically we're in Katy Perry's community.
It's true. Nothing. Yeah, I love that. Nothing about us without us. Yes. So the show I'm talking about is a new documentary on Netflix with Will Ferrell and his best mate Harper. And they go on it's a classic buddy road trip movie with a twist because Harper is his friend of many years, came out as a trans woman, and it's kind of them navigating their new friendship via a 17-day exploration of some of the more questionable states of the US, I think is fair to say.
Yeah, they go all the way down to Texas.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea was that she used to love going through all these rural areas and dive bars and everything like that. And she was worried that she would have lost those things from transitioning.
That's right.
And then the idea was, well, Will can be there as like backup from being a man and be a celebrity.
Yeah.
And they could go around and like see how different things are or how not different things are. And also so they could kind of like get to know each other again. Because, you know, when you're in the closet of a trans person, it's like a lie that you're telling your friends and having a kind of like honest reconnection.
You were very heavy on my mind as I watched it. Like it was almost like I just could not stop thinking about you because also she's a comedy writer like you are. She's in the rooms like you are. Like your experiences are very similar. So I imagine what I first wanted to ask you was, how is it for you watching, like, is this the first, like the representation full stop for you must have been overwhelming.
It definitely like someone I relate to much more. Because, you know, quite often when trans women get depicted on screen, I mean, usually we're not depicted by trans women. I think that's the thing that most people don't realize is that most trans women they've ever seen on TV have been written by men and played by men, portrayed by men. So they've never really like even heard a trans woman speak. or a trans woman's thoughts, right? But even then, like a lot of the times trans women are like sex workers and stuff, which is, it's true that a lot of trans women out there are sex workers, but for me, that's not like representing me. So seeing someone who's like a, little weird dorky comedy nerd, I'm like, oh, that's who I've been. It was really overwhelming.
I knew it would have been. I'm just like, fuck, you're getting your experience reflected finally. But in a very just the aspects of the comedy writing especially and what those rooms are like, and I know, but I don't know what they're like to experience as a trans woman. So that when I was watching, so you texted me and you said, I'm only a few minutes in and I'm already emotional.
Yeah.
Was that what made you emotional, seeing what instantly got you?
So it opens with Will Ferrell reading this letter that he got from Harper when she was like first coming out. So before she'd even picked her name, the letter ends with name forthcoming, which was so beautiful.
That's when I started crying.
But it just kind of like made me remember like what it was like when I was first coming out. I think it's just such like a beautifully vulnerable thing, because when you come out as trans, you have to come out to a couple of individual people before you come out to everyone. Like I think a lot of people, when they come out as gay, they'll just come out to everyone. They might come out to like one close friend and they'll come out to everyone. But you need like help. You need a support network. You need people to help you to figure out like what you want to do and how to present and to run your new name past them. There's so many more like choices that come with being trans. And I always think it's just like such a beautiful honor and a like gift to give to someone. Be like, I'm coming out to you before I come out to everyone else.
Who is your person?
So I came out to my mother, which I regret. She's
No, I wasn't.
She handled it well initially, and then she's handled it less and less well as time's gone on.
Well, someone else on this team can relate to that.
Well, it was a shorter cycle with her. Well, bad, but then came back to well quite quickly.
Yeah.
Now, great.
I'm waiting on that Saturn return.
Okay. Okay, so Mum, who?
And I came out to, because I was doing a show with another comedian, Sophie Josky. So I had to come out to her and my producer for the show, because I'm like, can we contact the festival and get my name changed in the guide? Because either I
Your
have to...
Your dead name was in the guide.
It was like we'd registered the show, but the guide hadn't been published yet. So it was like I either come out now or I have to wait like 6 months for this show to go on and then come out afterwards. And I just felt like as soon as I figured it out, I just wanted to like get on with it.
Yeah. How old were you?
I was 30.
Okay. And Harper was 51, 59?
Something like that.
I think she was 59. Yeah.
She's like 61 in the movie.
Yeah. But you still...
And she's been out for like a year and a half, 2 years during the movie.
You still live 30 years of your life though feeling...
Oh, all the same things that she was talking about.
That's what I wanted to wonder. Yeah, you identify with all of those.
Yeah, I mean, and none of that was a surprise.
Yeah.
Like those are conversations I've had with other trans people, and we all go through that same experience of kind of, the stuff that she was saying of like, oh, I knew that I was different, but I didn't feel like I could even like contemplate the idea, and like people tell you that that you're not another gender and you just have to like, you're like it's just biology, it's just facts. Like, well, who am I to argue with science? Which I think is a different experience to what like a lot of gay people get told, where they're being told not that gay people don't exist, they're being told that being gay is sinful and wrong and stuff like that. So you're like, oh, I know I'm gay, but it's a bad thing to be. Where as when you're trans, at least, growing up, when like Harper grew up, it was like, this thing doesn't exist. Yeah. So you're making something up about yourself rather than something about you is wrong. Something about you is false. It's a very different thing. It's like there's a lot of parallels to being gay, but there's also a lot of differences that I think people don't get to grasp. And it's nice to see that like put in front of a mainstream audience.
Well, that so much of it, and I listened to Harper in an interview this morning where she said, I don't care about, normalizing being trans for people who say that we don't exist, for people who have already decided they hate me. I want to make this experience. I think she felt like there'd been a little bit of blowback from the trans community that it was oversimplifying it, or that it was, making it palatable. And she said, I'm doing it for the dad that has a trans kid, or for the employee for the boss that has, or trying to reach people who are already at least acknowledge my existence. But I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about the requirement of the straight, white, famous man as the shield? Like, how did that sit with you?
I don't know. I'm tempted to hear you and Michael.
All right, Michael, what did you think?
Because I feel like you're getting all my opinions before you're having yours.
But your opinion is the most important. It really is. And I'm like, I sat and I said, I want to talk about this show, but I want, like you, I said, I want Anna there because I've thought about her nonstop for 90 minutes watching this, and I was acutely aware that I'm taking this thing in. Oh, this, and you're going to hear me say this is so nice. How wonderful, how lovely, how beautiful, how vulnerable, but I am looking at it through a completely different lens to you. So I wanted you to if you want us to give our opinions first.
I do want you to give your opinion.
Well, I mean, and also I can't. I'm aware when I'm watching it that this has been packaged. Like, I would say it's been packaged in a way that Will Ferrell fans could access it.
Yeah.
Which I would argue is worth doing, because then you're not gonna be preaching to the choir. You're gonna be. I mean, Will Ferrell is one of the most broadly sort of liked comics that I can.
And we know nothing about him. He's not an autobiographical guy. No.
And I can't even remember a political stance he's taken. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but he's always been, for me, very middle American, undeniably hilarious, but sort of stayed out of all of that. So, I mean, I thought it was effective, and for me, of course, it was like I was really moved by it. I'm relieved to hear that you felt like at least Harper's telling of her own perspective was truthful and you related to it, because it's always a balance of, in packaging this so that it reaches this broad audience, are you sacrificing the truth and the detail of that experience, and so yeah, it's interesting to know how you think they stood on that, striking that balance. I mean, for me, I felt like it was the kind of thing where I could ring my mother or people like that and say, you're going to watch it and you're going to love it. And it sort of frustrates me in a way that part of the power of it is because it's Will Ferrell that's there, and it kills me to say that. But on the other hand, it was sort of undeniable that to see this guy that you have, like, there is a certain level of affection that you have for him going into it. And because at the end of the day, it's tracking him being a conscientious, good friend. So you're kind of put in a position. Like, I feel like the person that comes out of this the best is Will Ferrell. No question. If there's benefits for Harper and the trans community in general, fantastic. But he just looks like, I mean,
I don't know. I think they included some stuff that makes him look
a bit. Oh, that's good. Yeah,
amazing.
Oh, he definitely showed some shortcomings. It felt. We didn't get to see his house. That was one thing that I felt. I felt like the whole message of this would be undercut if we drove up to Will's house at the end and said, oh, right. So Harper was living downstate New York and you're living in the Hollywood mansion.
Oh, yeah. There was, yeah, whenever Harper mentioned financial problems, my brain would be like, he's so rich.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Why? I hope you got a good cut from the Netflix deal.
He was open about and they showed bits where he backed down and decided not to defend Harper or not to take much of a stand at the moment, and then reflected on that afterwards, which was
too late.
That was impressive. Well, I know, but in some ways it's important. Like, in some ways I liked that at least they played that all out and you saw it.
Yes.
Well, I think that's one of, like, the more useful things that the movie does is show cis people a way to kind of, like, navigate someone's transition. And you see Will kind of, like, learning when he should step in and correct a misgendering.
Yeah, he's good at that. Yeah.
When he should kind of be aware of, like, when an environment might not be safe for someone. Because I think that's the other thing, is kind of like people blithely walk into a situation going, well, I feel safe, so this is a safe environment. Not seeing all the like red flags that every trans person will see walking in. But then also, like, you'll see Harper kind of like, I was watching a walking place being like, Harper, get the fuck out of there.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing?
Same.
No.
Yeah.
That scene where they're in Texas.
And the steak eating competition.
And the steak eating competition. And Will Ferrell, like, makes a big kind of, like, celebrity, I'm here.
In a Sherlock Holmes costume.
And the entire time, like, what are you doing?
And
Why are
they-
you putting this spotlight?
Yeah, that felt. Do you think so they go to this big Texan chain where if you can eat this ginormous steak in an hour, you get it for free, and you sit on a platform.
It was
and
a 2 kilo steak.
It was massive. Like I wouldn't shit for a week if I ate that. and so, but they're on a platform. He's dressed as Sherlock Holmes, and they're announced that they're going to this competition. Like they literally draw attention to the room, and there's a moment where the announcer keeps misgendering Harper and has to go back and check, several times.
It wasn't it's one of the worst ones where it's not a misgendering, because you'll see someone get misgendered. That's usually just an accident, a slip of the tongue.
Yeah.
It was Will Ferrell wanted to be introduced as Sherlock Holmes with his friend Ms. Harper Steele. And the announcer panicked, didn't say Ms., said Harper Steele, then went back for it, but was like, Miss Harper Steele, and just like, oh my God, you've drawn so much attention to this.
Yes.
You've shown like how much you don't want to call this person a woman.
Yes.
Like if you just said Harper Steele and moved on, it would have been so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But
And the tweets that followed that, the crowd they were booing them at one point. It was a really aggressive fishbowl.
I think if it wasn't for the cameras, there would have been violence.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And do you think he dressed as Sherlock Holmes to be the spectacles because he was worried Harper was going to be the spectacles? He was trying to like draw that fire? I feel like being Will Ferrell is enough.
I think he just likes going around doing bits. Like
He
they've
does.
got to.
And I think that probably always works out for him.
I
I can't
mean-
imagine him, if Will Ferrell appeared in a room in a fancy dress outfit, we'd love it.
I think if he'd been there with Harper pre-transition, it would have been great.
Yeah.
And it would have been like a story that they like dined out on. Like it would have been, oh, remember that time when we were in Texas and you were dressed as Sherlock Holmes? Like it's only dangerous because there's a trans person there. And that's something that a lot of people in that room thought was a problem. It's terrifying. I'm like, this is a horror movie. This is the trans Get Out happening right now.
And I thought, when you and we had lunch early on when we first met, and we're at a cafe that I know is pretty conservative, you know what I'm talking about. And like the type of cafe that hangs the Australian flag outside of it on Australia Day with the boxing kangaroo vibes. And you got up to go to the toilet, and I was nervous for you. Like because it was full of old conservative people where we were. And in that moment, I wondered if you get anxious about which toilet you pick. And I asked you, and Jim, you told me that you usually go for the disabled toilet because
It's usually the safest option.
Yeah.
Do you
have to make that assessment every time? Because I was watching Harper, I was thinking about, are you constantly assessing what is safe and what isn't?
I mean, I am. I think, the way a lot of women do in general, like it's not necessarily a conscious full battle plan. I'm not kind of going into slow-mo mode and finding the exits. It's just something kind of like a background process where you're just kind of like, I'm not going to walk down that alley.
Yeah.
And you don't even like think about it. You don't contemplate it, And it's the same thing. Just and I have that running when I walk into a cafe, when I walk into a new environment, when I decide I'm going to go to the bathroom, I like, what are my options here and how am I going to proceed? But it's just like, it's not something I'm dedicating a lot of time to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good.
I would rather not have that background process.
At all. Yeah.
But
I don't want to say what I thought.
I want you to say what you thought.
Surface level, I loved it. But then I did what my brain always does, and it started like asking questions. I'm never satisfied with just eating the pizza. Like I have to know what went into it and why.
Yeah.
So I think on the surface level, I watched my husband very intently because he was the intended audience, I think. My husband is pretty good for a straight dude, but my husband would be very at home in a broy football lunch, for instance. Like he could walk in and speak the language and assimilate, and he's a bro.
And he wouldn't care that the retirements were put together with the deaths.
Nah, wouldn't give a shit. Wouldn't care, nothing like that.
One iota.
Yeah, and like he only knows trans people and queer people probably because of me, I would say. So it's, but he's a Will Ferrell fan for sure. Loves Step Brothers, loves Talladega Nights, all the things. So I was really keenly watching him as well. And I think if their intention was to make something for that person, they nailed it. I don't think they challenged anyone particularly. I thought it was palatable. But then my brain's like, why do we have to make the trans experience palatable? Like, why is that the goal? And I also kind of felt like not everybody gets to walk around with Will Ferrell when they're, you know, when Harper's being Harper away from that, she doesn't have that privilege. And it kind of felt like, oh, it's real. Will was just doing something human. Like he was doing baseline of like, he's getting this guy, what a good guy, what a good person, how amazing. But I think he just did the human thing. I think he's getting celebrated for something that I would hope would just be the norm. So that bothered me a bit.
Not the norm.
I know. And that's, yeah. So I think that's my opinion. I loved it, but I thought about you so much and I had so many questions and I think, I'd love to know what you think. Tell me.
This is what happens anytime there's like a big trans piece of media.
Yeah.
Because we get one every 3 years.
Okay.
You know, every 3 years, someone's like, let's put another trans person on screen and see how it goes.
Okay.
Transparent, pose,
You know.
now this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's right.
And then that show has to bear the weight
It has to be all the things.
of being all the
Got it.
things. And it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, you're telling this story about a trans person, a trans woman who's quite privileged, you know, and has a wealthy friend. And, you know, she was able to do a bunch of stuff that I haven't been able to afford, like electrolysis and stuff like that. She has, you know, all these people like Tina Fey and Tim Meadows and Seth Meyers and stuff that she can hang out with. And like, I'd love that, you know, like, but it's a true story.
Yeah.
It's a true and honest, faithful depiction of what happened to her.
Yes.
And the only problem with it as representation is that it's the only representation that we're getting this year. You know?
Yes.
It's this stuff doesn't matter as much, you know? It's like if you look back at like old media about gay people, you know, gay men will be like very flamboyant men doing like, you know, the gay voice and everything like that. And that was really problematic because it was like not all gay men are like that. But now when you see a bunch of gay men on screen who are like, you know, more masculine, people of color, you didn't usually get to have gay men who were people of color back then. And suddenly like you see a man who's like a bit twinky and a bit effeminate and whatever. And you're like, oh, great. Because it's not the only gay man that you're going to see on TV, even potentially in that show that you're watching, you know? Like you'll have the twink, the bear, the, you know, whatever. Like, you get
And
to
they
have...
can be morally dubious. There was that period of time where after you know, after a while, gay people could be represented, but they had to be virtuous at any.
Well, yeah, it was gay coded and you were a villain.
Yeah.
Then explicitly gay and you were the best friend.
Yes.
Always.
You know, and like, and then occasionally they might get like a romance, but now a virtuous, and like now we're getting like gay villains, we're getting like lesbian villains. You know, like Agatha all along is just everyone's an evil lesbian, which is amazing. It's all I've ever wanted.
Same.
You know, and it's just kind of like we don't get that as trans people yet.
Right.
And, you know, that won't change until people who work in television start hiring trans people.
It's funny that we knew someone. Who worked in television. But I felt that pressure.
Yeah.
I get it. When I had to give a speech about autism and ADHD, I felt that pressure to be all the things to all the people because that we get platformed so little. And of course it's the same with an issue like, you know, the trans community not getting... There's not enough of a variety. So when there's this one moment, it's everyone's holding their breath and like trying to get onto the door of the Titanic thing before it sinks. Like the door can, you know what I mean? Like we're all just like, come on, get it right. Because we're worried it's not going to come around again. So, but did you like it?
I really liked it. I think it brought stuff.
Okay, I feel okay about
that. I hadn't seen before.
She's unclenched.
Because I really liked it.
Like, as like a film critic, I wish that there'd been less constructed moments. A couple of things that kind of like stray more to like the Borat end of the documentary spectrum.
Yes.
Like Will Ferrell doing bits in costumes and makeup and stuff like that. And I felt like they felt like an insecure inclusion of just kind of like, oh, this isn't going to be entertaining enough. It's just them hanging out. And every time they were doing something that felt like a constructed moment, I'm like, can we just get back to them hanging out? That's so much more interesting and entertaining. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the moments where they'd pull the chairs out and sit down and kind of decompress.
Yeah.
They were the moments of beauty. And the diamond earrings on the beach at the end, I just broke down. Like, I don't know why. The way Harper reacted, Will gives Harper a present at the end. And I know it's kind of, I don't know why. It was just this moment. I saw the look. At least I was like, diamond earrings really, dude. Like, but then I saw the way it affected her and I was like, oh, it's pretty, I get it. That moment, that got me. Yeah.
Well, I think that for trans women, it's very easy to kind of like justify to other people getting surgeries, getting hormones, getting electrolysis, any things like that. Even buying nice clothes, buying stuff like jewelry. It just feels like this isn't part of your transition. This isn't medically necessary, and you kind of like talk yourself out of it, and you feel like you're playing into like stereotypes about trans women that like, you know, we're like cliches, doing a parody of womanhood, trying to be like as girly and feminine as possible. So you kind of like the full extent of like womanhood and femininity, especially, will sometimes kind of like pull ourselves back from, you know, like I know very few trans women, for instance, who will wear like pink, especially like a full pink outfit, you know?
Really?
Like might wear like a pink decorative like moment here or there, or like a pink shirt, but like a full pink outfit, like that's when you start feeling like you're like, oh, you're dressed like Barbie. This is what all trans women are. You're a parody. You're doing woman face, you know?
God, but you want to be trans. That was something that I'd never really heard discussed, where they were talking about, you know, I don't want to pass as a woman. I'm a trans woman. And that's it. It clicked to me. And then one of the women they spoke to, she spoke about not changing her voice, like not feminizing her voice, because why was she doing that? Was she doing it for herself, or because she wanted to make it easier for other people? And I loved that moment. This is not something I've ever even thought about. So in those aspects, I don't know.
I think every woman, cis or trans, has this like pressure to kind of like meet the standards of womanhood.
Oh,
and
yes.
you know, womanhood
I've got things thrown onto my head. But I know I'm trying not to make it about me.
Physical
Like
pain.
I know I make everything back because I'm neurodivergent, but I was really upset in moments of it because I know I'm not a trans woman, but I understood playing a role every day that's not true to who you are and pretending to be. I'm not very feminine, and I always tried to be girly and do it, but I failed. I failed every time, and every day I'd get up and be like, today's gonna be the day I'm gonna be normal. I'm not gonna say anything weird. I'm not gonna feel anything weird. And I used to pray to God at night to make me not weird. Like, I'm not comparing my experience to the trans experience, but this doco, for anybody who has felt othered, I think also will reach you. Like I got it, not to the extent, but I understood what it is to be looked at and have someone think you're one thing, but on the inside you are entirely the other. So yeah, sorry to make it about me. I gave myself a pep talk. I'm like, don't make it about you. Yeah.
You're allowed to make things about yourself.
It's your podcast.
No.
I know, but it's like
Seriously,
And it's inviting you to relate to it, which is part of why it's effective.
I mean,
in a way.
I thought of you
cried
many
4
times.
This is, you know, like, we want you to not feel othered. Like that's this is how trans people stop being the other, is that we tell our stories and people see themselves in it.
Yeah.
And you watching a trans woman experience and going, she's like me, she's a woman like me, she's been through things I've been through, is a good result, and you need to stop fighting that.
Okay, great. I don't know. I'm just trying to be a good person so I can sleep at night and my friends are okay.
But that was one of my favorite things about the movie, and is something I really hope people take away from it, is that Will Ferrell took that kind of, you know, you've come out and you've tried to be like really honest with me about who you are. I'm going to come back with honesty.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back with authenticity, even if that means putting my foot in it and saying the wrong thing and asking questions that might be not phrased perfectly or whatever. And that's the thing that I feel like I didn't get from a lot of people. And a lot of people who do what you're doing right now is like, oh, I'm going to be a good person, so I'm not going to say this. I'm thinking this, but I'm not going to say that. And like, all these like authentic reactions, responses people just hold in, and you're like, oh, so I was getting authenticity from people before I came out, but I wasn't giving it to them. And I came out and gave them authenticity, and then they suddenly started withholding it from me because they didn't want to upset me. Oh, God. I'm like, fuck, offend me, say the wrong word, because at least I know it's real.
Yeah, you're very good with that. You are very, very patient with the wrong things.
It's not patience. I find it refreshing.
Yeah.
You know, and I can tell the difference between someone who's saying the right things because they have it internalized.
Yeah.
And they don't thinking consciously about it, and I can hear the delay
Oh,
when
yeah.
someone's running everything through a sensitivity filter before it reaches my ears.
I got 5 filters running.
And it just it feels like you're on a Zoom call with a bad connection. You know? We're just like, can you just like shut off the video
Yeah.
so we can like talk at a proper pace?
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any other questions?
My question was about in the experience of being on SNL.
Your nipples out. I mean, I love
Oh
it,
my
but I'm just,
God.
yeah. No, I actually
That's
love it.
You.
I know. I love having your nipple
That's your
out.
fault.
How long has that been out for?
No,
Ages.
it's great. We love it. We'll
was it
CGI
out
it.
for
Don't worry. We'll
ages?
CGI it.
Jesus.
No, it's great.
We'll put a little watermelon emoji
Yeah,
over it in
yeah.
post.
We'll set up
No one
nipple
will
cam.
notice.
It's gonna be great.
Saturday Night Live was what I was going to talk about because that's how they knew each other. Will worked 90s.
Oh, I thought. I know.
Like
actually,
they were on with like Tina Fey and stuff like
And
that.
so was that 90s? Oh,
But
That would have been
My
like late
sense
90s,
was-
early 2000s.
you're right because like Jim
we're
Carrey
talking like
and-
Sarah Palin era.
Yeah, yeah,
And
right.
my
right.
sense was that Harper was prior to Will.
Yeah, Will came on. Harper was already there, and nobody liked Will. They didn't think he was funny,
That's
and Harper
right.
went out to lunch with him and said he's actually funny. You need to
Yeah.
give him a go.
But that culture, it didn't go into this at all. It kind of made you feel like SNL was just a happy, fantastic environment. They were all
Oh,
still
yeah.
best friends and they had a hug with Lorne and everything like that. But I imagine, that now there's things written about the SNL culture in the 80s. And I can
The
can
interview that I
imagine
listened to this morning,
the
they went
comedy,
into
the
it.
comedy scene can be low key, for whatever better word. But it didn't sort of, it looked at like I don't know. I wondered whether there was more to that story than we got, or whether it was.
Yes. 100%. And if I'll put a link up to it. I listened to them interview for New York Times this morning, and they went into that environment and how toxic it was.
Oh, did they?
They fully went there.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
right. And what sort of things like about?
She just said that she notices now the rooms are more inclusive, and there are people of different ethnicities, different sexual
Yeah.
orientation. Like she just said back then, it didn't happen.
Well,
and
I mean,
they also
I guess
talked about
what
the
I was
sketches.
wondering was part of Harper's the amount of time it took to get to the position where she felt in any way ready or safe to transition. Was it partially working in SNL that would have reinforced? But I mean, I don't know.
I mean, she did mention.
I mean, she was talking about how much she like loved working as a comedy writer and all the people that she got to meet working on SNL, and you have to think like, where would she be able to do comedy
that wouldn't have happened
in any way
Yeah.
that wasn't going to be dominated with
Yeah.
toxic,
Yeah.
blokey people?
Yeah.
And she also said,
I mean, the industry today
Yeah.
is still dominated with toxic, blokey people.
Mm-hmm.
she also said that she's glad and like she can be grateful in a way that as even though it took such a long period of time, she wouldn't have had that career or that experience. And it was so brutal to hear it framed like that. That just would not have happened if I'd gone into this industry.
Oh, you
as a
know,
trans woman
they
in the-
said to her, "Do you wish you had a transition in your 20s?"
Yeah, that's right,
And
yeah.
like, it's just like, there's no way Lorne Michaels would have hired a trans woman to write. It's just so it's a weird thing to get asked, and people ask that of me. Do you wish you had been diagnosed earlier? You've probably been asked too, and I'm like, well, I probably wouldn't be here if undiagnosed Em wasn't allowed to just run a reign of terror on everything and just do every single thing because she's searching for dopamine and trying all the things. So no, but mental health wise, yes. So it's like, I don't know. Do you wish you had transitioned earlier?
I really feel like I wasn't ever going to get there because of the environment,
Yeah.
And it's that thing of just kind of like, like there's a lot of things I don't like about how my transition has gone, where I'm like, if this had happened earlier, if I had been on hormones pre-puberty or even near the tail end of puberty, the results I could have compared to what I could have now. Obviously, you always have those thoughts, and even just thinking about like kind of like classic like womanhood and girlhood experiences that I've just missed the boat on. Like sleepovers with like teenage girls and whatever. It's just kind of like I was a teenage boy. I wasn't gonna get invited to those situations.
You would have hated them.
Yeah, but
I did.
I think hating it.
Okay, you get the experience to hate it. I get it. I always got picked up because I was crying about 11 p.m.
But occasionally I'll be around
Yeah.
women and they'll be going like, oh, I remember when high school when this happened
Yeah.
and this would happen in sleepovers. And they'll talk about hating sleepovers, but it's a hatred they get to share.
Yeah, you get to understand. Yeah, of
and
course.
obviously, like, you're going to be sad and you're going to regret that. But like the world I was in was never going to let me transition. You know, I was growing up in the 90s in Perth. I don't think, I think anyone who's able to figure that out in that environment is a much stronger and more sensitive and self-aware person than I may have ever met. And
I get that.
Well, that exists.
Yeah.
And so any kind of like hypotheticals like that is kind of like, I end up just imagining that the environment would be different.
Yeah.
And then you just get to the point of going like, well, what can I do to create that environment now?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so officially you liked it. I liked it and you liked it. And I know we're all dying to know.
My mum liked it.
What my husband thought.
Yeah.
Final word.
And
Give it to the straight man.
This is what I took my glasses off.
Well, let's see if he can change my mind.
Here we go.
Maybe he had some thoughts that I didn't come across.
I'm just laughing because the last text message is, I've picked up all the dog poo I could see. That's the last one. Romance is not dead. My 3 takeaways, he's texted them to me. 1, the complexity of the transition journey, the reality inside the reality inside the reality, and the importance of helping people transition as young as practically possible. 2, the ultimate simplicity required of kindness, understanding and dialogue. 3, how sad it is to see someone deeply suffering in their pursuit just to be themselves in their life. That were his 3 takeaways.
Wow.
Wow. They're good.
I mean, I married him for a reason. He's not like a total cunt.
Listeners to this podcast may need some reminders at times, but he has virtues.
That's pretty, I mean,
If
pretty good.
the movie is having that effect on people, that feels like a positive contribution to the world.
that's what I think.
It also weirdly made me want to go on a road trip, which makes
Very much
no
so.
sense considering part of it was like truly terrifying.
Yeah.
Obviously in ways that wouldn't be the same for us. But
No.
still, did you feel, I felt like,
Yeah.
why are we not
I'm
just,
like, I want to go on a buddy trip. You and I would do it differently though. There'd be no motels.
we wouldn't be pulling out the chairs in a car park.
Oh, I could do that.
Could you?
If I've got a chair, I'm okay. I always look for somewhere to sit
I just
everywhere I
don't
go.
think I'd be in the Walmart car park. The bits where they did it in a nice bit of.
Yeah, but the
something to
Pringle
look
gag
at.
was funny. I laughed at
good.
that. I did laugh at
That's
the Pringles.
The
good.
running
Yeah.
gag with Pringles was funny.
It was good.
I do want to point out that you've watched a movie about a road trip with a trans woman and you've both gone, we should do that,
the
but
road
without
trip.
the trans woman. Let's do it with each other instead.
Fuck, we're not good people anymore. Shit. Just lost all my trans points. God damn it, I'm an enemy. I can't say ally anymore.
Don't worry, there's more money on this path. Keep going, Em.
We've also said, gee, we really feel like a Pringle.
I would definitely do it with a trans woman. I would. Do you want to come on our road trip, Anna? God. Oh, now I'm going to
I'm
going to
busy.
lay awake
I'm going
about
to the
that.
international Emmys with my friends.
I'm actually going to lay awake thinking about that. I'm not going to take it out because I'm a bigger No, don't. I'm going to start getting into that territory where I say deliberately inflammatory things because Anna can take it and then I'll get in trouble. Wow, that was inflammatory. Okay, let's end the podcast now. Anna Piper Scott, thank you for coming in and talking and doing the work because you don't have to, but you're always happy to.
Oh, I love this.
Michael Lucas, thank you for showing us your nipple. And
You're welcome.
to everybody at home, Will and Harper is currently screening on Netflix. Watch it with everybody.
Screening on Netflix alongside a bunch of transphobic Dave Chappelle stand-up specials.
True.
They're really playing both ends of the market.
Well, they're there to cater to absolutely everyone.
Everything's hard. Everything's not good. Watch it now. Coming up next is the sealed section. My daughter, Marcella Rossiano Barrow, has returned from her European session. And we will be discussing why she will not be at my Margaret Court Arena show. You heard that right. What a